question is, do you support NATO bombing Yugoslavia?
That's one of the hardest questions I've asked myself the last few days. And I don't think there's a simple answer to that. And I don't feel I know all the information. And I hate to see any lives taken. So that's the best answer I can give you.
That's good, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that
That's
basically
enough,
the question? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If you want to expand, please do.
Well, you know, the big debate right now is going on whether we do have to use ground forces, and I don't think the situation is such that that would make sense. I think that's high risk, and you know, if we take the idea of Milosevic as just another Hitler, you do what you did with Hitler, you bomb the capital until the people say we give. And so I'd rather see us lose civilians on their side than any NATO soldiers. So if they lost 100,000 people and we lost no soldiers, that's better than us losing 100 American soldiers or Italian soldiers or whatever. So I think they shouldn't be too fast to say, well, let's roll the troops in, because with the hilly country, I'm retired military. With the hilly country, we're going to lose a lot of people.
What branch were you in, sir?
Air Force. I was in Vietnam for 2.5 years, and so I've seen an awful lot of ground troops lost by misguided policies by our government, and I'd rather just see us do what we're doing. It's expensive to throw cruise missiles in, but we're not losing people. And when the losses are heavy enough on their side, I think they'll back off and be more reasonable about killing off innocent civilians in Kosovo. So.
Initially, I feel that the reason that we're there is to counteract Slobodan Milosevic's, ethnic cleansing, and I don't think that that should be permitted to continue. Something has to be done, and I think that by taking out their ability to wage war by bombing, strategic locations is very important, and it's actually beginning to work now. Unfortunately, some civilians are being, killed in the process. But I think in the long run it is sending the right message, and it's accomplishing what we set out to do. So yes, I do support it.
I don't support the bombing. I don't believe violence will ever solve the problem of violence against other people. It only will embed the violence as a more viable solution in the long run. And I think that will continue. If we continue to bomb them, the Serbian people will only feel the only way out of it is to be violent in return. And I think that's the basis of all warfare. And I think we're incorrect in assuming that this is like Nazi Germany. And if it is like Nazi Germany, who's to say that if we wouldn't have attacked Hitler in the 1930s to keep him from taking the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia, he wouldn't have started World War II earlier. And so there's probably the possibility that, the war could expand. I mean, today I guess they took a village or attacked a village in Albania. It always worries me, and I don't think that we're bombing for the right purposes. I think it's because of guilty feelings, and a lot of times when we act as guilty people, we end up causing more problems rather than solving the problems. So that's what I think.
That's great, thank you.
Okay.
Do you support NATO bombing Yugoslavia?
Well, the thing is this, I suppose what happens in Kosovo right now is a very difficult situation, and I don't know if the bombing alone would solve the issue, since what's happening right now is all adjacent countries, among them Austria and Albania, Italy, are getting this huge amount of refugees, and those people leave their country that's being more or less destroyed, and there's no end in sight. I don't see an end to it. So I kind of question just the airstrikes. I suppose if you really walk into there with ground troops, this might be a different issue if NATO decides to do so. I'm sure. Well, this is the reason why NATO has been set up, to prevent a population to be at war with. Actually, this is an inner. How do you say inner?
Inner ethnic.
No, inner. NATO usually cannot walk into a country and resolve an dispute within the country, but it's been whatever Milosevic is aiming at is just, I believe it's a crime, and I believe it has to be resolved in some sort. I just doubt that the airstrikes will do any good except ruining a country that is already very poor, and or an area of a country that's very poor, and also Albania is the poorest country in Europe, so I very much question if this is the right way to resolve this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And do you support NATO bombing Yugoslavia?
Well, I would agree with Felix that it's a very complicated situation. I've given a lot of thought to it, and I think that Felix is right on one end, that the bombing won't necessarily accomplish any of the ends that NATO or the United States really wants to, or supposedly wants to accomplish. There's a lot of killing going on, and I think that if they really did want to make a difference, that another point that you had would be to walk in there, but the problem with that is that then we would have risk to life, and I think that's what's going on. That's why we use bombings, because we don't want to risk our own lives in large quantities, because we place a higher value on that, and maybe it's harder to sell politically. But if we really did want to stop what's euphemistically called ethnic cleansing, then we probably should walk in there, and that's a difficult thing to say from the sidelines, because I don't know that I want to walk right in there and that people are going to line up from around the corner to walk right in there. I think the bravest people involved, aside from, you know, people, individuals, are the volunteers who go just to help stem the bloodshed, and I think it's very sad. That's the biggest part of the question.
Excuse me. Can you tell me your opinion on the bombings in Yugoslavia?
I have no comment.
Please, I'm with the press.
Leave me alone.
Tell me.
Go away. Stop.
I think that ethnic cleansing is wrong at any time, but I think that there's a lot more to this picture than the Americans are being told with the Serbians and Albanians. So I'm not sure if I support bombing. There needs to be resolved, but I'm not sure if bombing is the right answer. I think that's...
Yes, I agree with Nina. I feel like I'm not educated enough on the topic to make a real opinion, but I do wish I knew more about it, and if I did, I could say more. But I think that ethnic cleansing is bad, and something needed to be done about it. So that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
And our question is kind of heavy. It's like, do you support NATO bombing Yugoslavia?
I don't, you know? I mean, it's just like there's so much of this stuff going on, and like, I think we're picking our battles too much personally. I think it's just like, you know, I think it just serves the president's best interest. That's right. You know, he's just trying to like divert attention from whatever's going on. And plus, I mean, I don't know, I just think that like he's putting us at risk. I don't know, you know, like getting people mad at us. Cause didn't Russia like re-aim its nukes at us and stuff? Yeah, see, that's not good. But yeah, I just think it's wrong. I mean, we should just stay out of it. I mean, it's wrong what's going on there, but it's not really our place to mess with it. But that's, yeah.
That's great.
You can talk to him.
Okay, do you support NATO bombing Yugoslavia?
Good.
Yes or no?
No.
No?
No, I don't know.
No, I know that.
No?
It's for DCTV.
Channel 5. No, not tonight.
Are we going to be big stars or what?
Yeah, huge.
You already are, man.